What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we're going to be talking about the Adania Part 2 or Inner Edania Nodes and if they're worth it. So yeah, it came out last week, and basically there's a few things that are high priority and a few things if you're a life skiller that I would recommend getting. So right now, this is my connection. Let me make this a little bit easier to see. So I have everything connected from the main post over here, like the main town. This is actually pretty nice because when you invest into the town, there's only one house you can get. You get the lodging, you get +3, and it's only one contribution point. So that's nice. And then if you want more, it's obviously Pearl Shop, which, you know, it is what it is. So for people who are thinking about, I want the priorities only, what I would recommend are the Tarsus Mountain right here, just because these give the Olvine ore, which is used for the new life skill elixirs or the drafts. And then obviously Trace of Nature has always been a pretty good one for alchemy. Makes out everything that matters. And then this one gives you the rough marble. Powder of Earth is pretty decent if you do bartering a little bit, and or just any sort of alchemy. But, you know, if you're the ideal one you want is rough marble over here. Olvine ore, Trace of Nature is pretty nice as well. And next we have this Mount Deerfan Dan, whatever it's called, and this one gives magnetite ore, which is for the new, well, like the 3 new things we just saw are for the new life skill artifacts. So eventually everyone's going to get them. You need multiple of them, probably about 10 total, so it's probably a good idea to start putting workers on these nodes early. Powder Flame is kind of irrelevant, like you still need it, but you don't need that many of it. And then this is Trace of Nature. So yeah, a few other things that I would say are honorable mentions. One is the Whispering Memorial node right here from town. Just go to this one and down, simply because this one gives Thuja Sap, Monk's Branch, very high value nodes for elixir crafting. And yeah, you definitely need that one. If I had more contribution points in the future, this ridge over here, Trace of Nature, and more Monk's Branch, those are 2 important ones. And going into part 2, I believe here is the Zephyros Castle. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, Zephyros Castle. And then going in here, I would say these 2 are pretty important. These are exclusive to Adania. Capris Tree Sap is more important than the Timbers. Double nodes over here. They're going to be invested into once they get more contribution points. And yeah, so you guys heard of the huge crash that everyone's buying up all the elixirs and everything. Unfortunately, I was not part of that. So yeah, either way, a lot of the materials are out, and you're gonna have to make your own elixirs, cron meals, and everything for a while. So these are the important ones. I have a video talking about my other nodes. I'll leave that in the description. It talks about every other region. But just to run through this real quickly, like if you want to watch a more detailed version, I'll leave that in the description because that one basically covers it. But I'm going to talk about stuff real quickly in every other region, just like TLDR version. Adania Part 1, we have Ancient Ruins because this gives Capris Tree Sap. These are double nodes over here. These are very nice to have, especially because it's kind of annoying to gather, especially if you do it on an alt or you don't have infinite potions. Down here, I have from Arihaza connected all the way here. I have this spot connected exclusively for the new grand spot. But yeah, everything else here, if you're doing it, Arihaza for the vanadium and titanium. If you know what to do with it, get it. If you don't, it's not really important. It's also monos crafting if you do life skills. Down here, Valencia City connected all the way down here. For all of these are trace nodes. There's one more trace node over here. I don't have enough contribution points for it, but it will be invested into soon. And everything else is, let me show you. Fika, Silkworm, and Date Palm. Pretty decent value for that over here. Going down into Sandgrain, we have Iron Ore, Altanova. It's a lot of just irons, various crystals. We moved them to Morning Light for Royal Workshops. A lot of timbers over here, and extra powders and elder tree timbers. Ulakita, you can connect it over here. You can get this one too. Some of these nodes are very solid for alchemy, harmony crafting. So you can connect all those. Mine is set from here down to here. These are the important ones. Important ones are traces. You can connect them from Musgar as well. This is also an interesting way to connect, but you want all these down here. I also have cedar down here is important. More cedar. Going into Winter Mountain, Jade Starlight for cedar, timbers, and Trace of Natures. So you guys can see this. Rough Jade is hard to come by, and you're always going to want Monk's Branch. There's a high priority. Snowfield Cedar, always maxed out in price. Duvenkroon. A lot of Duja. Duja's, I hate gathering this, and this is coming from someone who does a lot of gathering, so keep that in mind. And we also have a lot of Mithril and Zinc ore. These are high value nodes. Might want to invest in these. You can get those over here as well. Mithril, Zinc. And it's a pretty expensive connection to get all the way over here, but that's okay. It's definitely worth it. Over here, Thuja is connected. Duvenkroon up here. And is 3 nodes. You want that. Ojaxia. Chicken meat, eggs. This is where I do a lot of alchemy crafting. Well, I put all the materials I need for it anyway. Aside from that, nickel is very valuable. Mithril. The Mithril node at Olin's is not that great, but it's one of those things that's high enough value that you keep it, even though, like, I feel like it should be buffed. To give you an idea, we have 1,000 Mithril over here, right? But if you really wanted it, you would invest in Cult Canyon and Shuriken, and I have like 27,000, so that's just a huge jump of difference. Grana is a little bit less relevant. You want the trace nodes over here, and that one is pretty important, at least these two for the connection. If you have extra contribution points, you can get one over here by Miramok, and you can invest up into Star's End with everything else. So I would say these are optional just because you don't super need them, but they're nice. And then Trent, down in the forest over here, cedar sap is very expensive. Going into here, we get more traces and bloody tree knots, so it should look like this. You get a lot of timbers, obviously that makes sense. Calpheon and Keplin, coal node over here. This is the only thing that's important for Keplin is coal. Calpheon, if anything were to get deleted, or like, you know, if I were to need more contributions for other stuff, Calpheon is the first one to go. Yeah, Porphyria. If you guys have ever wondered how do you make good feed or food for your pet, these are the nodes. Like you get a lot of dried fish, and then you could turn all this in, well, certain ones into pet food. That's what we had to do back in the day, but nowadays it's a little bit less relevant. So if you want to make it yourself, invest into these nodes. They take a while, but you never run out, and you just make them yourself. Good to know, right? Velia. Basically everything. Everything is important. High priority on timbers, ores, and chicken meat. And grill, like chicken meat and eggs. There's a few of them here, and by the farm nodes, basically. So chicken meat and eggs are what get you real bird meat for your workers and everything. Everything else is just timbers, ores, and traces. So yeah, a lot of Velia is taken. I think this is a good thing, just because newer players will generally start in Velia. Well, they start in like Western Guard Camp and everywhere around here, and then these are what you should invest into first. Going into Heidel. Heidel is where I have a lot of my other materials, a lot of timbers, saps, and stuff I would use to actively craft cooking and alchemy. So it's a good idea to separate your nodes from Heidel, and Glish, because this is where a lot of your materials also go. So if you're doing a lot of crafting, chances are your storage is going to be full. You want to separate Heidel and Glish because they're right next to each other, or like Velia and Heidel, either way, same thing. But just kind of organize it a little bit that way. And yeah, that's where you stock up everything. I believe that's everything that we talked about. We have a connection to Morning Light. And down here, it's anything that is traces is good. And traces, timbers, saps, and a lot of ores. If you want to see that one, you can see that. This is my Royal Workshop setup. And this is where a lot of Royal Workshop stuff goes in. Every now and then I just kind of clear out all this and sell it for silver. But the materials, a lot of ores that we talked about go in here. And then stuff that would make the other materials that go into the workshop, if that makes sense. I'll leave a link in the description to a video on how Royal Workshops work. But basically you set it up and then, oh, I guess I have something I need to go set up right now. Let me see. Okay, well, for example, you see how this one is? You get the stuff that's sellable, some that's not sellable that you make through here, and then the extra materials. Change your workshop, click this one, start work. And then all these nodes over here. So that's about it. If you want to watch the longer version of all these nodes and explain why I have them, I'll leave the link in the description. Just watch that one. It's pretty interesting to see why I chose a lot of things. But yeah, I just wanted to mostly talk about part 2 Adania as well. And the important ones, once again, Tarsus Mountain and this mount over here are the high priorities for the new artifacts for life skillers. And then all the other things over here are, you know, just alchemy, cooking, and all the other materials that I think are also important. And notable mention to the ruins for the Capristry one, which I'll be investing into once I get more contribution points. So that said, thank you so much for watching. For the next like 2 months or so until October, we have a creator event. So if you are thinking about buying any pearls or game package upgrades, use my code. I get a small commission out of it. Always appreciated, never required. As long as you're enjoying my videos and learning something for it, that's all that matters, whether you're free to play or not. Hopefully you guys enjoy my videos. That's all that matters. And if you do use my code, always appreciated. Let me know in the comments, or you can join my Discord and let me know so I can thank you personally. And I will see you guys later. Peace.